And we also, do you remember when the guy would come in the driveway and play a little fiddle?
Yes,
And
yes.
he'd throw a penny or two down to him, that's how he made a
I think
living?
they called him a klezmer.
Well,
is that what
Klezmer's a musician.
Yeah, right.
But I remember that very well. Wherever we lived, they always came along, and that was, I was born at the end of the war, World War One. Yeah, I don't have any recollections about that, but a little bit I have a recollection about the stock market when that fell.
When that crashed.
And we had a few relatives who had money, and the banks were closed, so they were frightened. They were very frightened whether or not the banks would open again, the next couple of days.
The following Tuesday, October 29th, 1929, known forever after as Black Tuesday, another tidal wave of selling hit the exchange, and this time, no one came to the rescue. Hour after hour, the market continued its descent into chaos and pandemonium, as stock prices simply collapsed under the torrent of panicked selling, and desperate brokers fought and screamed and trampled one another to get out.
Well, I think we
And
were
I think
much
they did.
older when the banks closed.
1921,
1929.
29. So,
You've been
I was
12 or
11.
so.
I was 11. But
Do you
I think
remember
most
when we
everybody
lived-
got their money back in our family.
Yes. Do you
Whoever
remember
had money.
when we lived on 18th Avenue between, 47th Street between 18th and 19th? There was a bank on the corner that had closed, and there was quite a panic in the neighborhood at that time.
Yeah.
How long was the bank closed for?
I don't remember.
I don't recall.
Probably a week.
And then, of course, I was working, and you were a young girl. I was working on 42nd Street and 3rd Avenue.
What was your first job?
My first job was when I was in junior high school. I was 12 or 13.
You look 20.
I did. I was tall. And I worked in the 5 and 10 after school.
At
Did
the
you lie
age of
about
12 or
your
13?
Yeah, did you lie about your age?
I think you had to be 14. And
I think you
must have
lied
been
about
14.
I think you lied about your age.
A lot of, maybe,
think
I don't
you lied
recall.
about- Was it in 5
But-
or 10 you were?
Yes, in the 5 and 10 on Fulton Street. And I would work, I went to school from 8 in the morning till about 12:30 or 1. And then I would work from 3 to 6 in the evening. And Grandpa Eddie would get off the train and wait for me.
And how much were you earning?
Well, Saturday when I worked all day long, I made $2.10 for car fare. Then after that, one summer, I worked in Bay Ridge. I worked in a cut-rate drugstore. But I worked quite early. It was Depression time, and we all helped somehow.
When you earned the $2 and you got the 10 cents for car fare, would
It was
you
a
come
nickel.
home and put the money in the kitty and
No.
what would you
no.
do with the money? Was that your money?
That was my money somehow. The only thing I recall was Grandpa Eddie used to come in once a week with a box of the cherries. Enough chocolate cherries, some lost, remember? And so I got into the habit of buying that. As soon as I got my paycheck, they gave me cash, I bought that box
That
of
was the
chocolate.
start of her downfall.
And,
Lost cherries. Oh, well. Then you worked for Brunke and Silver?
then I went to work for Brunke and Silver when I was in
What
high
kind of
school.
house were they?
That was a collection agency, and they were one of the few firms that were very busy. It was the Depression years. And
A lot of delinquencies at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
collection agency
they
was
were a
going,
collection agency for the drug trade, for the tobacco trade, and for several others, I can't recall. And they were a very big outfit, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, and they were busy. And I didn't make too much. When I worked overtime, I got 25 cents an hour overtime.
Were you earning the $12 to $18 a week?
No, that was prior to
Before
that.
that.
That was before that?
Finley
Yes,
Scratch
that was
was
prior to
$2
NRA.
$12.
Yes,
So what were you earning a week there?
12. And the banks closed when Roosevelt was president.
Yeah, they were afraid.
And the boss called us in and he said, we're cutting everyone's salary because he says we don't know how quickly the banks will open. So my $12 went down to $6. He says, we're not going to fire you. He says, continue working. Don't pay your gas, electric, or telephone. Only use your money for food. That was the conditions.
And how old were you when you were earning $12 and your salary got cut in half to 6?
I must have been 17.
And were you finished with school at this time?
Yes.
You graduated high school?
Yes.
And at that time, economically, there was no chance for you to go to college?
No. Economically, we improved ourselves. In fact, at that time, Mo had been into Long Island University. He was going for his pharmacy course. And he had to stop for 2 years because our parents couldn't afford to pay it.
And what did
Then
he,
he continued after the 2 years.
and what did he go out and do?
Long Island Pharmacy.
He worked,
What was
College, Long Island College.
Long Island College of Pharmacy. that's
Long Island
right.
College of Pharmacy of New York University.
Yes, something like that.
And he had to interrupt his college for 2
years,
years and go
yes.
out and work?
We had very little money.
Yeah, we didn't know we were poor.
We didn't know we were poor.
I
We
was
weren't
very
really
young at
poor.
the time.
Yeah.
We were not really poor.
And Charlotte, when were you born? What year?
25.
1925. So
Right.
when the Depression hit in 29 and 30,
Yeah,
you
No,
were
she didn't know anything about
5, 6
No,
years
she
old.
was an
Right.
infant, yeah.
Not an infant, but
Yes.
a little child.
Yes.
And
And
she
Charlotte,
wasn't
what are the first things you can recall?
I can recall living on 47th Street between 18th and 19th Avenue and living in the upstairs of a two-family house. The
a large apartment.
Yeah, large
Large.
apartment. The Gottliebs lived downstairs, and Pearlie Gottlieb gave me piano lessons, which I took. Yeah, I took
Oh,
piano lessons.
You don't remember living around the corner of
No,
47th
never.
Street at all?
No, I
48,
was
you
too-
don't?
No.
You were
no.
too young
I
then?
only remember
Oh,
40.
per-
That was the first. And I remember an ice cream wagon coming around, selling ice cream for 5 cents,
Right.
a nice cone, with the horse and wagon.
Yeah, you walked away.
You could go down with a soup plate, and he would put the scoops
Leave
of
it to Molly
ice
to
cream.
remember
He
that.
would put the ice cream in the soup plate.
I don't remember that.
Yes.
I remember playing in the alleyway between the two houses, and I used to play ball a lot,
Baseball.
and I had
Stickball.
roller skates. The roller skates with the metal,
Sure.
not wooden, the metal
No, metal.
ball bearings, and that you always had to have the skate.
You always had to have the key.
You never had the key when you needed it.
No, I used to hang it around my neck so that I would have it.
Everyone
But
Yeah, we all wore our skates.
I went to school on the corner there.
Montauk.
No,
No, it was 192.
PS 192, right?
What junior high schools did you go to and what high school? Did you all go to New Utrecht High School?
I did.
Charlotte?
No, I went to
No.
Erasmus because we had moved by then.
You went to Erasmus?
Yes.
No.
You didn't know that I went to
Oh,
Erasmus?
and Molly, where did
See,
you go?
that's another one. See, that's another one for the painting.
Yeah. No, we moved to 1940. We had moved to another, two other places from 48th Street when I was a child. One move was to 46th Street between 13th and 14th at the time that
Molly got married.
Yeah, Molly never got married. That was the Sontag home, so we lived in the...
But before that, we lived on 46th Street between
moved-
17th.
You moved after that. to
After
40.
that, we moved to 46th
Oh,
Street
from
between
the
17th.
Suntec house, we moved to 46th.
Yes, and I remember we had
17th.
a bird, a canary. And I remember going
Uncle
in the
Charlie must have given it to us.
taxi with the canary from the house on 46th Street between 13th and 14th to the house on 46th Street between 17th and 18th.
Right. We covered all of Burma.
After that, we moved to Day Hill Road, 70 Day Hill
Oh,
Road.
that was an apartment already.
An
Oh,
apartment.
is that where,
And then I went to from there I went to high school.
hey, well, Dayton Road, is that where?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where they live when we moved across the street.
And that was the same apartment
Where
that,
you were born. 102 Albemarle Road.
okay, but when Grandma and Grandpa moved to Bay Hill Road,
Mm.
was that with Aunt Charlotte, and then Aunt Charlotte, you got married and they stayed there?
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
The same apartment?
Yes, they
Yeah.
were there for over 25 years.
Yeah.
Right, I Yeah, I moved with them in 1940, and then and Uncle Mo had moved too, but he got married
He got
just
married.
at that point.
Yeah,
In
that's why they moved.
1940.
That's why they moved from the six-room
That
apartment.
was a one-bedroom apartment.
Right, and I
Yeah,
slept in the living room on a couch.
I didn't know that.
I never had my own bedroom
You never had your own bedroom?
until I got married, right? I never had my, when I was a child, I used to sleep with Aunt Molly.
I slept with her first.
Hmm.
We all
And then
had
when
to sleep
she
together.
was
She had a
married-
large-sized crib, and when we had all the
Company.
cousins that would come,
They'd all-
many cousins remember getting into the crib with Charlotte and sleeping because there was just no other place. But the crib was so wide
Yeah.
that you could curl up in one corner, and the Charlotte would be in one corner. And
I don't remember
They
sleeping.
kept
I
it.
remember sleeping with you when we lived on 47th Street.
Yeah.
And then we moved to 46th Street between, and 13th Avenue, and then you were married there. I remember sleeping with you until you were married, and
Yeah.
and then after that, I think I slept with Vicky. Vicky.
When